Hi everyone, after a bit of a hiatus I'm back with MickMake mail number 22. We've got two things. Let's get stuck into it. So the first one, I'm fairly confident I know what this one is. This comes from Tindie, and these are the extras that I'll be adding into the prizes from the Tindie / MickMake mail competition that I ran. A whole lot of t-shirts, a whole bunch of stickers, a whole lot of extras that I'll add in, and also Jasmine's provided one of the Tindie Blinky badges, which is I think something you make up. Yep, it is something you make up. So that's excellent. I'll send those on to the winners. So unfortunately, Jasmine, I didn't get these in time for the Maker Fair, but I'll certainly use these business cards that you've given me to hand out to people when I visit another Maker Fair. Anyway, I'll send those on to the winners, and I need to get rid of all this stuff. So the next one, this is a GroupGets. So I backed two LoFives, and these are really nice chips. They contain the Open Hardware SI5 Freedom E310, which is a 32-bit RISC-V processor, clocked at 320 megahertz. It's got 16K of RAM and 128 megabit SPI flash. It's got expansion headers, 2x14 pins, which has the usual JTAG, GPIO, PWM, SPI, everything else you want. It operates, of course, on a 5-volt rail. The chip itself runs on 3.3 volts and 1.8 volts. Let's solder up and fire this one up and see what it looks like. So everyone's seen me solder before, so I think it's good to skip over that bit. Well, that's a real bugger. I can't find my FTDI cable, and I don't really have time to configure a PI-up to be able to use one. That's a bit of a shame. Real pest. I was going to show you how to install the Freedom E SDK software and get that all going and try a couple of blinky LEDs. Oh man, I'm not having much luck here. Unfortunately, I don't have much time. I've got to get this video out and another video I've got lined up for today. So let's move on. So going back to the Echoscope, which was in a previous MickMake mail segment, I got a response from Victor Canoes, however you say his name, who's the CTO of Ecologic. So he made a couple of points. There's a new version of the macOS software. I tried the new software for macOS X. Unfortunately, it still crashes for me. So I'm not sure if anyone else has the same issue. He also mentioned that there's after-sales service to replace battery and probe tip. And he also mentioned that the board is double-sided, which I had a bit of a brain fart. I had a feeling that the ESP wouldn't be able to keep up with that sort of bandwidth. So I've added some more high-res photos of the other side of the board. So the grunt behind the Echoscope is the Xilinx Spartan 3 series FPGA. It also has a dual bridge amplifier, 16-bit DAC, and also an ADC 08200, which is an 8-bit ADC. Now this one can go up to 200 megasamples per second, which is pretty good. So the top end has been throttled by Ecologic, and I'm not sure why that is, but probably due to Wi-Fi transfer speeds and maybe the cost of adding extra onboard memory. Anyway, I'll add those photos to my website. You can check them out. They're all high def, high res. Hope it doesn't kill my website, but anyway, there they are. Okay, next thing. So let's check out the Banana Pi M2 Berry. I'll just do a quick review here. Nothing like my extensive reviews that I normally do. So finding the images was pretty easy from the Banana Pi website. Downloaded this image and burned it using Etcher and chucked it into the SBC. Okay, so I've just booted it up. There's no problem so far. You can see that there's the I2C bus, SPI bus, and also a bunch of GPIOs. There's a couple of devices on the I2C bus, which according to the schematic is the PMIC and HDMI interface. So you can see the I2C bus seems to be working. I'm just using a standard MCP 9808 temperature sensor, the same one I've used in all my reviews. That works fine. Now what else can we test? So I thought I'd try network performance test. Since it's got gigabit Ethernet, it should be flying. And so far it seems to be doing well. 774 megabits per second, that's pretty good. So I thought I'd try it with this cheap Chinese 5.4 inch display. It piggybacks off bus here, the standard GPIOs, but I wasn't able to get any response out of it. It works on a Raspberry Pi, but for some reason it doesn't work on this the Banana Pi M2 Berry. Let's try an SPI interface next and see if that works. So I connected up a ILI 9341 TFT display, and unfortunately I couldn't get it going with the Adafruit library. Not sure what's going on there, but the SPI bus is definitely there. Unfortunately I don't have any other SPI device I can test against. I could probably fire up a Raspberry Pi as a slave, but unfortunately I don't have time for that. I'm not having much luck here. This camera is based on the OV2035, so I installed the modules. Unfortunately it never came up, so I'm not really having much luck. So my current perception of the Banana Pi M2 Berry is it's a fairly decent board. I've yet to try a lot of things, so I'll save that for my full-on review. I haven't tried the SATA at all. I've tried a number of things, so unfortunately I can't get the CSI or the DSI going. I've yet to try performance tests with a decent heatsink. The list goes on. So I thought I'd give this a bash just to see how far I could get in a couple of minutes. I didn't get very far, unfortunately. So on to the next thing. I might take a quick look at another SBC I received recently. So after a bit of a rocky start with the Pine 64 guys, with that Pine 64 board, they've come out with this Rock 64. From what I can see, they're really making a big effort to make up for that Pine 64 debacle. So if you look at their website, they've come out with some fairly clean quick start guides. They've got their own little installer that you can use, which is based off Etcher, that you can use to download and burn the SD image that you can use. Okay, so I think we've got everything all connected up. Let's power it on. Okay, so it seemed to boot up without much issue, in fact no issue at all. There were a couple of I2C buses, one that's connecting to the GPIO and one that's connecting to the HDMI. No SPI on this particular OS release, a whole bunch of GPIOs, which is nice. So let's have a look at connecting up the MCP9808 temperature sensor and see if it comes back with a response. And yep, that's fine. That's no problem at all. So network speeds were pretty good. We got to 600 or 618 megabits per second, which isn't flash, but I'd expect that to improve, considering that it's a stock Debian distribution. It's nothing optimized. And on UDP side we saw a very low jitter, 0.107 milliseconds, which is pretty good. However, there were some issues with running Ethernet at 1 gigabit speeds. I had to downgrade it to 100 megabit full duplex. For some reason, running at 1 gigabit Ethernet speeds, it would constantly lock up. So it looks very similar to the Pine 64. But I have to point out that the previous campaign for the Pine 64, they were claiming a lot of things. With this board, they're actually being a little bit more subdued and releasing the board as a maker product, and not claiming that it can do everything and solve the world's problems. So the board is performing to expectation. So this is one of the things that happens with an SBC that's released. They're not fully working, and that's the expectation of everyone. So that's it for this mailbag segment. We had the Tindie stuff, the LoFive, the Banana Pie M2 Berry, and the Rock 64. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to really spend a bit more time on this mailbag because I have work commitments. You'll have noticed that up until probably a couple of months ago, I was pushing out 2 videos a week. Now I'm only able to push out a video a week, so just it's one of those things. Unfortunately, I need more Patreon supporters, so if you want to support me and see more videos, then you can click on this link somewhere on the screen and you can support me that way. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you next week.